don't know anything about PoE, but from what you were saying, are you kind of in the same boat as me? I didn't play any of the other seasons or anything. I had a character that got to like level 30 one time.
Okay, so I guess I know a little bit more than you, but in general, I would say I know nothing. I played the season before Diablo 4 came out.
Hmm.
Um, I did kill the 4 bosses. I got my 4 void stones. They were very easy to kill, but I think that's only because I had a guide, and anytime I did anything wrong, chat was like, "No, no, don't do that." I'm like, "Oh, oh, thank God I have so many people telling me everything that I'm doing wrong." And then by the time I got to the bosses, I was so strong, they died very quickly.
Yeah, chat is OP for when you're doing a run like this. I'm still kind of trying to figure stuff out, and apparently, I've made some mistakes because my damage is ZDPS. People keep saying it's a Quinn build, whatever that means, but it's
Well,
it's
that's
unfortunate.
not a compliment. That's
Uh,
not a compliment.
oh no. I know, I'm getting roasted. All right, well, I'm desperately trying out here. I got to do my ascendancies and stuff too. But so there, you said the 4 bosses. So there's like pinnacle Uber bosses. I'm assuming.
Yeah, as I understand it, I could be wrong. Chat can roast me if I'm wrong. There are the 4 bosses, and then there's 4 Uber versions of the bosses, and which are way, way harder. I didn't have time to attempt any of the Uber bosses because I had to go play Diablo 4, but I killed the 4 regular bosses easily. Maven, one of them has like assignment. Like I went in blind. I didn't read any strategies. So Maven killed me once, so I had to do Maven twice. But the other ones, I think I just one shot him. But my build was so strong. I just laid down a totem and ran around, and everything died. So I don't really consider it much of an achievement.
When I did the campaign, I kind of went through it blind. I didn't. I thought I was going to get killed a lot more when I was doing the final boss, but I kind of, the for campaign anyway. But I kind of just walked through it for because my character's so tanky. It's pretty hard to die unless I just I'll get one shot by something from standing in mechanic that apparently will just one shot you rather than Adam. I picked everything that gave me armor, life, and life regen, which probably explains why I'm doing literally zero fucking damage.
Hey, I mean, staying alive that's usually the hard part in PoE. If you get that part down first and then build offense, at least that's what I see most of the SSF players doing. So I think there's a method to the madness there. I think you're doing it right.
What I didn't realize was that all of the season mechanics get added. Like the next season, the mechanics are still there. You know what I mean? Like they have every single season just builds on each other. So it'd be like you have the cage hearts in season 2, and then they add whatever the vampire mechanic is. Or I didn't know that that's how Path of Exile worked. So I'm just now learning what all of these season mechanics are. Like I'm doing the blight right now for like the second time I've ever even seen the damn thing, and there's so much shit to do that it feels a little bit more like an MMO or something. I don't know how to really describe it, but there's so much shit to do that I didn't expect to have this many mechanics to figure out. Like I don't even know what the metamorphosis is or the Batman thing where you have to figure out who's the killer, like the detective shit. They have all kinds of stuff in this game that seems like it could take a lifetime to figure out.
Yeah, it's one of those things for you and me and for new players. Even like I assume you and I are a little bit different from a quote unquote average player in that we can literally sit around and play all day and we're willing to explore all these different mechanics. It's just quite overwhelming. The nice thing that PoE has done, if you can get this far to learn this, when you get into like the passive tree, you can actually start blocking some of the mechanics and raising the chances of other mechanics. So I was advised very strongly to pick one mechanic to specialize in. And what I did was I blocked everything else from even appearing. So I only did expedition, where you run around and lay bombs. And that made it much more digestible because then I got to spend a lot of time figuring out exactly how do you lay the bombs, what exactly do you get out of it, how do you run your logbooks. And now I feel pretty comfortable with expedition, but then of course I saw in the PoE2 launch that they changed expedition now you can like blow it all up with one bomb or whatever. So now even that changed. But if it's your first time ever playing, you have that option when you get further, whichever one you like. Like I think I just saw you do blight or something. Pick
Yeah.
one that's and really, really try to master it, and that can kind of ingratiate you into the different mechanics.
That seems to be my favorite one so far. I like the blight. I'm not that far. My character's only like what, my 76 at the moment, so I'm kind of pretty early into it, I suppose. But that was the second time I've seen the blight, and I think that's been my favorite one out of all of them so far. I like that. I like the ritual one, but those are the. I don't really like the crafting one, like the one where it's like it has like a farm or something, and they pop out of the ground. Really don't like that one. I don't like the detective one or the metamorphosis, but I like the blight one. So I'm gonna try to figure out how to do more of those ones with the Atlas tree here, because I picked the one where it makes it where the maps they deal more damage, but they have less life, because basically I do 0 damage, but I'm really tanky. And then I think I'm gonna go down, yeah, chance for blight encounter. Yep, I'm gonna take that one because I like that.
I don't know about this league, and I don't know everything, but Blight was a very, very good money maker last league. My friend was showing me he was making like 8 divines an hour, and the whole idea is you're looking for, I think, gold oils or something, but I think Blight is the tower defense one, right? You lay a couple
Yeah,
towers, and
I have
so that
no idea what's happening on the screen right now. I just walked into something purple, and now there's a whole bunch of like purple dudes, and there's a giant purple wave going on. God, every
yeah, I
time I
believe
play
this
it,
mechanic is called Barney.
Barney, the
Yeah,
Barney mechanic. Okay, I thought it was a
yeah, this is
Gumby or
Barney for
something.
sure.
All right, yep, that was pretty fucking cool. I have no idea what that was, but I liked that. You see, you look through all the new stuff they announced about season 2 yet on Twitter and whatnot for D4?
Uh, for for D4, yeah, I saw it all. People are saying that you actually become a vampire next season. Is that
Wait,
is
we're the
that right?
vampire?
I mean, that's what people are telling me.
Wait, are they
But I
gleaning that off of where it says vampire powers? Because it says vampire, like quest line and vampiric powers. Does it mean we? I would assume that maybe we had like like a heart thing where we get like a couple extra abilities and they happen to be vampire themed. But maybe we are we the vampire? Is the friends that we made long away are the vampires? I'm not really. I thought we were hunting the vampires. I thought we were literally hunting down the vampires. Was my impression.
I mean, the honest answer is I just really don't know. When I I interpreted it as you described it, and it sounded very much to me like season one. It sounded like, okay, season one, you hunt the malignant, which are whatever, they're zombies or whatever they are, and you take their powers. Okay, now we hunt vampires and we take their powers. Okay, it's like the same thing, but
Yeah.
apparently they're like, no, Rax, the difference is you're the vampire. I'm like,
Okay.
okay, whatever. I'll just wait till they give me more information. But I thought the more interesting thing was like the permanent changes they're making to the game, everything that wasn't the seasonal theme. What did you think about those things?
What I liked was because I kind of agree the vampire thing, whatever. But the one I liked was the Uber uniques, where it said you can farm Uber uniques, because it's basically, in my opinion of it, is they added Uber uniques into the game for the first time. Basically, is the way it looks like to me. Because the way I consider it, they're not in the game, and now they are in the game, or at least we don't know the drop rates or where we get them. But it says you can target farm uniques and you can get Uber uniques. Out of that and the 5 new bosses, they say new and returning. I'm assuming the returning means like the ones we played in the campaign that we can't repeat. I think I've seen some people say that they think that means like people are saying like, oh, we're gonna get Blight Bishop again, we're gonna get Blood Bishop or whatever, we're gonna get that one again. But it's like, no, I don't think they're repeating them. I think they're adding in like Astaroth, or the bosses that we've fought that you no longer fighting. I would assume, would be my guess. But if the in-game bosses are like pinnacle bosses, I think that's pretty cool. If they're like Bone Spear Necro kills them in 2 shots, and I'm gonna snore through it.
Yeah, I interpreted it the same way you do. I'm literally expecting gold here. I'm expecting like Andariel, Duriel. I'm
Exactly.
expecting the big boys to come out here. This is something that Path of Exile and Diablo 2 have done maybe better than any game I've ever played. They have these very, very rare items, which, they have different rarities, like Diablo 2 has like your Shaco, your Bear Rune, your Jaw Rune to craft an Enigma, your Call to Arms, all these different things. Path of Exile has, just like your basic currency, like Divine Orbs, which are actually hard to find. And then you have Mage Blood and Headhunter. They're very, very, very rare, but They are possible to find, and that just makes logging in exciting. Diablo 4, first of all, a lot of the Uber uniques, except a Shaco, except for except for that one, they aren't really that exciting to find. They don't like completely transform your build. But yes, it's kind of like they're adding it for the first time into the game because they're just impossible to find, which doesn't make logging in fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's that you can't realistically go into the game and try to get them. Like that's just not a thing that happens. It's someone mathed it out, and you literally have a better chance of winning the lottery than you do, like in real life, than actually getting an Uber unique. So I don't understand how that can be like actually considered a real item. You know what I mean?
For the most part, other than the real casual players in these ARPGs, the way that they have designed them with these 3 month seasons, which they're actually sticking to the 3 month schedule. It's actually coming out a few days earlier than 3 months. Non-season for a lot of players doesn't matter at all. So it's not even like do you find one ever in your career and win the Powerball? It's what are your odds to find one in a 3 month season? And a lot of people, in fact, almost everybody doesn't play for the full 3 months in a season. So
Bingo.
if the drop chances are that low, as you kind of pointed out, you might as well not even have them in the game.
Yeah, or I feel like even having them in the game is worse than not having them in the game because it's a thing that people want that they can't get. So it's like a toy on a high shelf for the kid, and the kid can't get to the toy, but the kid knows it's there, and it's just like kind of like a nana boo boo, like you can't have it. Like that's what it feels like right now. It's like I've never even considered that I could get it, but I know that it's in the game, so it just maybe they put it in the game with the expectation of adding in the content they're talking about adding it in now. With the bosses and all that. So it seemed like they're tying into the bosses because it was on the same like sheet. I just got one shot. It's on the same sheet as the bosses, so I'm assuming they're tying them together. But if that's the case, I'm I think that's significantly better because I played RuneScape a lot, and I really liked how in RuneScape like you do the bosses to get the items, and that's just kind of how it links together, and it kind of makes sense in these types of games. Like do the bosses to get the best items in the game. I'm okay with grinding for like the 1% chance or something, but I think it'd be weird if it's just like any monster in the game. Like I don't like the way it is now, where it's you can be killing like a white mob, just like a normal ass mob, and then it's oh he's level 82 plus. Like okay, well you have a chance of getting the item. Like I think it's much cooler if we get him from a boss or something than just randomly. Oh, it's there. I happen to kill a ghoul on my way to a dungeon.
Yeah, I think there's a very basic concept about video games that a lot of developers are trying to find clever ways of getting away from, which I think just makes them worse. And it's similar to what you just described. The hardest content or the most difficult bosses on average should drop the best loot. I mean, whatever challenges you the most should drop the best things. And every story you hear about the 1 in a trillion people finding a Shaco, they're just doing a level 83 nightmare dungeon and it dropped off a little wolf. Now, a lot of
Yep.
casuals get mad about that and they say, no, 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 I'll never kill Uber Lilith. It can't drop off of there because then I can never get it. Well, I mean, nobody can get it the way that it currently is. And if it drops off, if you make it drop off of everything, then you and I are going to find 10 of them a season because, we're going to run 10 times as many nightmare dungeon as them, and that's just the way that math works. So yeah, I think you've got to add more end game content to aspire toward, and it has to be very, very rewarding. Otherwise, it's not even content.
Because the problem with Uber Lilith for me is I think Uber Lilith is extremely exciting to try to beat. Like I actually really enjoyed the process of trying to figure out how to beat it. But once you beat it, it's like kind of a letdown. Like you're like, oh, I did it for no reason. Was how I felt afterwards. Like I was super excited. Oh, I finally beat it, and then I'm like, but there wasn't like I could have basically not have done it, and I would be in the exact same boat with my character. So yeah, agreed. Hopefully the in-game bosses are in fact tied to the Uber uniques, and that the drop rate isn't like 0.001% per boss kill or something.
Yeah, this is exactly why I think it's cool what Path of Exile did. Some of these bosses that you kill that are quite difficult, they give you like a void stone, which gives you like a permanent boost to your account that you actually want to have. I actually gave this suggestion to Blizzard a little while ago. I said, listen, when you guys add some endgame content, would you please like make it valuable to have killed Uber Lilith. Like the Uber Lilith experience was already ruined because Diablo 4 launched with so many bugged mechanics and builds that every single class had this way to hit her for 1 trillion damage. Then when you beat her, you get a title. Okay, that's cool. You get the Blood Horse. That's not cool. I think it's like the ugliest mount in the game. Like they should have
True.
given us they should have
True.
given us like a we should have been able to ride around on Lilith or something.
It
But
should have a mount that you can add that actually has a blacksmith attached to it, like it's World of Warcraft, and you can buy and sell and stuff straight from the mount. I think that would have been kind of a cool reward where you actually get a quality of life thing to it.
yeah, I mean, it's got to be something like the rewards for the boss were way too low, and the achievement of killing the boss was completely diminished from all these builds that skip all of her mechanics. Like, I watch all these streamers attempting Lilith, and like the second that their one-shot plan doesn't work, they just die. They just dive into the blood and die and go again because they're like, well, the moment I have to actually do a mechanic, I can never kill her. I'm like, oh my god, this has completely ruined this boss encounter.
Yeah, watching you and Woody Joe do it with, I think Rogue were the one you guys both did it, and I watched you do it where the dodge at the very end, like you got one dodge and everything. That was a very hype kill, whereas opposed to I've watched the people stagger it or whatever, and he dies before it even goes into phase 2, and you just survive, which is kind of cheesy. I did Bone Spear, so I kind of feel like I did it half cheesy, whereas my damage sucked, so I still had to like avoid waves and learn the mechanics. But at the same time, like I didn't have to dodge all of the things and run around in the circle at the end because I have enough damage to skip part of the phase 2 shit. So the cheesiness of it does kind of ruin the boss a little bit for me too, where it's even if there was a reward, like you can kill it in basically 5 seconds with all of the different builds. So it's a little disappointing.
Yeah, I remember I was watching you pull Lilith, and like it's a frustrating encounter when you start to learn. And I think I just typed in chat, I was like, go get him, DM. You're gonna get her. You're like, help me, Rax. I'm like, well, I'll just give you one hint. The one hint is stand on the edge and evade over the first wave. Like that's
That
like
was a good tip,
that,
by the way, because I learned that I took your tip and got the evade boots. So I got the plus charges on the evade boots because I didn't have them before. I had the movement speed. So I'm like, all right, let me try that. And then I could double evade through both of the first waves, which helped me actually be able to dodge the other ones in time because I was fucking struggling, bro. Like I kept getting one shot by the wave over and over and over again. But once I had the double dodge boots, I had enough time to be able to dodge the first wave, and that was kind of the first step to actually getting far enough into where I could learn the second part of phase 1.
yeah, I remember. I was like, evade over the. You gotta go to the edge and evade over the red wave. You're like, okay, okay, I'm gonna do that. I'm like, okay. I was watching you for a little bit. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's better. He's got the like, that's the most basic idea. Like, let's just let that simmer. I went out. I like went to go get some food. I like watched a movie, and then I checked my phone. I had a Discord DM for you. You're like, I killed her. I'm like, really? Holy shit! That's some fast progression right there. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Rob gave me some pretty good tips too about like keep her don't drop her all the way to like 35% or whatever because you'll get another chance to have a burst window. So I was like, oh, I'm killing her like almost too fast. So then I waited a little bit longer and that helped too. And then between those two tips, I was able to put it down. And then I used what was it, Nick 2, I think is his name. He had a pretty good Lilith board, and I had to readjust my Paragon board and kind of use his type of damage board, and then it helped quite a bit.